Why is the biggest risk for businesses inside the business and not outside? Most people, most entrepreneurs spend their time worrying about competitors, the economy, and the market. But the biggest threat is usually much closer, is inside the company. And why is that? First of all, we need to recognize and acknowledge something, that the problems that we face in the outside, the entire market is facing them. And nevertheless, they are facing these problems. There are people who are able to run business in a successful way. For example, let's think about this. Um, Restaurant business, food. Here in Brazil is one of the most complicated business for you to run. But there are successful people in this industry. I believe that in the United States is the same thing. A lot of people, a lot of competitors, difficult to manage in this business. Construction, same thing. A lot of people working, market is not easy. So, what differ people who succeed from those who don't? The way that you deal with your business inside. Because the outside is for everybody. Everybody needs to deal with it. So, sorry for that. So there is no other way. You have to deal with it. The thing is, many people blame the economy, interest, interest rate, market conditions. But if you think about this, everybody needs to deal with that. But maybe not everybody has excessive debt. Maybe not everybody has poor cash management. Maybe not everybody deal with uncontrolled expansion with weak margins. Let's take my case, for example. When I was young, I ran a business producing pulleys and wheels for gates. You know, here in Brazil, every house we have a gate outside. It's normal here, not same way as in US. In US you don't have it, but here we have it. And I produce. And my margin was weak at that point. At that point, I didn't know that. I didn't knew that. I didn't know that. But now I understand that that was my mistake at that point. So, an inside mistake. On the outside, there were other people who are dealing with that. And you know something? This company, um, um, it was run for my dad. um, before me. Before I start to run the company, my dad ran it for many years. And with him, the company succeed. So I was the one to blame. And I learned a lot of lessons from running this company. It was really something valuable for me. It was really something that where I learned a lot of things. And nowadays, working with construction, I learned how to deal with my margins, and I know how to put the price in what I build, so I'll be able to make money with my business. Another thing that I believe that is one of the most important things is to have um, a cash reserve in the business, because when you have a cash reserve, maybe as big as you can, when you have a cash reserve, you are able to face crisis. You are able to go through crisis. So this is another important thing to deal with when it comes to business. It's something that we need to understand. When the storm comes, the crisis, the storm, maybe it's not the storm that sink the ship. If the hole was already there, maybe you may think that your competitors are strong, but and if the leader of your company, which in most cases means you, are overconfident, arrogant, careless, maybe you have previous success. But what happens in many occasions is that success create an illusion that every decision will work. Think about what I'm talking here. Many entrepreneurs think that because they are able to make money, they are geniuses and that they can do whatever they want. So they stop listening. They stop questioning themselves. You know, the warehouses that I build, I rent them, but I always can sell them. They are there, rented, but the possibility to sell is always there. And the rule that I have to sell is this: I'm going to sell every time that the money that a possible buyer is offering allowed me to build 1.5 times the property that I'm selling. So, for example, let's say that I'm selling a property for 100,000. If this 100,000 enables me to build another property that is going to be value 1.500,000, then I sell. So think about that. The rule is very clear. As long as I follow that, everything is gonna be okay. But the reality is this: in many occasions, money, when people are offering you money, because the money that is offered is a big amount because of the value of the property. But even though the value is big, it's not as big as to make possible for me to follow my own rule. In many occasions, you feel that you want to sell, but this is the important moment for you to question yourself. In my case, I have a rule that is very clear and help me, but maybe my ego may take control of the situation, and I can think that I'm going to be able to make better with less money because I am very smart. I may think that we need to understand that a competitor can attack from the outside, but ego attacks from within. So, for example, I received an offer in a warehouse 2 weeks ago, and now I'm telling you that because I refuse this offer, because it wouldn't be able for me to follow my rule. But I was tempted to accept. I thought, oh man, with this amount of money, I could do this, and that would be good. But I resist. And is that because I am very smart? No. That is because I did wrong in the past. I commit mistakes in the past. And now I know how to deal with things better. We need to keep in mind that no business can control the economy, can control government decisions, market cycles. The only thing or things that we can control are our cash reserves, our costs, debt levels, things that happen inside our company. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the difficulties of the market exist for everybody. And if there are people there in the market who are able to run businesses, it is because it's possible. If you run a business and fail, it's because it's not as simple as that, but it's because you did something wrong. And in many occasions, even in the beginning of the business, in many occasions, you shouldn't even start. In many situations, when people came to me to talk about business that they want to start, one of the things that I realize more often, is that at that moment for them wouldn't be a good idea to start the business the way that they want to start it. In many occasions, because they doesn't have the means, the money to start. They doesn't have the experience necessary. Maybe the amount of thought that they put on this is too little. In the beginning, everybody think that is going to able to make money. Unfortunately, the reality is not as simple as that. But it's possible. The message that I want to pass here is that it is possible. The only thing that you have to do is study your industry, think about everything very clearly without being too optimist, without thinking that you are a genius. Actually, in many occasions, what I realize that helps us much more is to think that we are dumb. You know, think that you don't know better, that you don't know enough about your industry, about the business that you want to start. Because if you think that you don't know enough, that you are dumb, that you don't know what you do, what is going to happen? You will study more. You will want to learn more. You will keep searching for answers, and probably you understand better. All right, my friends, this is all that I have for you today. Thank you all for tuning in, and I see you in the next video.